Every year, roughly 54 million people die. That's 150,000 people every single day. We try to hide from this reality with clever language. We say people passed away, went home, or more crudely, kicked the bucket. We use euphemisms to soften the blow, but the truth remains death is a divine subpoena. It is an appointment that cannot be canceled. If you've ever felt a cold shiver at the thought of your own end, and then tried to put it out of your mind, you aren't alone. In fact, the Bible calls death the last enemy. But what if the fear you feel isn't just a natural instinct? What if it's a bondage you were never meant to carry? Today we're looking at how to be truly free from the fear of death, not by ignoring it, but by looking at the only man who walked through it and came back to talk about it. Why do we fear death so much? In part, it is just a raw, animal-like instinct. Every animal, down to the smallest insect, fights fiercely to protect its life and flee from danger for as long as possible. But for us, we have an even deeper sense that death is not only fearful, but it is something that is an intruder. And there is a reason for that. The Bible is clear. Death entered the world through sin. Our broken relationship with our Creator, the giver of life, is the reason for the death that surrounds us. This is the grim reality that sits behind every funeral. When we look at the world's suffering, we often ask, why? But if we look in the mirror, we see the answer. We participate in the very sin that makes death inevitable. Deep down, we know that if we haven't addressed our relationship with our Creator, dying isn't relief. It's just moving from one place of suffering to one that's even worse. We feel the weight of the Ten Commandments and the Sermon on the Mount, and we realize that we don't measure up. In fact, we don't even come close. That realization is the root of the fear. But here's where the story shifts. You might think that real believers aren't afraid, but look at history. William Tyndale, the man who gave us the English Bible, the man who has rightfully gone down in history as a courageous, lion-hearted martyr who was burned to death for his noble efforts, prayed desperately to be delivered from his martyrdom in the days leading up to it. Yet when he faced it, death by being burned alive, he showed no fear. How is this possible? His story is not unique. I've personally known believers who speak of how they wish they could die and go to heaven, and then use every medical tool and health-related avenue they can to prolong their life. And there's nothing wrong with this. The Apostle Paul said that to live is Christ, so there's nothing wrong and everything right with trying to prolong our lives. Nevertheless, when believers do this, they simply underscore the fact that it is a basic human instinct to desire to extend life and forestall death. And they are all in good company. Even Jesus, the Son of God, shrunk back as he faced his impending death. In Gethsemane, he prayed in agony for the bitter cup to be removed. And lest there be any doubt about what he was praying for, the Bible tells us explicitly that he offered up both prayers and supplications with loud crying and tears to the one who was able to save him from death. But by going through with death, he was able to provide us with the assurance that should calm every believer's fear of death. He himself likewise partook of the same, that through death he might render powerless him who had the power of death, and might free those who through fear of death were subject to slavery all their lives. Ruminate on these words. Put them on a card in your wallet. Remind yourself you have been freed from this slavery to fear. Before Alfred Nobel, the inventor of nitroglycerin and dynamite, was called the Merchant of Death, there was an original one, Satan. He couldn't destroy humanity directly, so he used sin to bring about death. That's why Jesus called him a murderer from the beginning. And he wants to not only kill you, but to keep you in the bondage of fear of death every single day. But God had a counter. When Jesus died and rose again, he became a trailblazer. He paid the wages of sin so that death no longer has a legal claim on you. The author of Hebrews emphasizes that Jesus is a merciful high priest. He isn't a distant judge. He is a brother, a friend who has suffered everything you are suffering, and more. He experienced the divine subpoena so that for you it's no longer a summons to judgment but an invitation to rest. So, are you still anxious? It's human nature to be. But the invitation of 1 Peter 5:7 is to cast that anxiety on Him. The assurance of the author of Hebrews is to draw near to the one who is able to save forever those who trust in Him. What better way is there to be freed from the fear of death? God hasn't promised us an easy life, but He has made ironclad promises about the next one. He is the source of eternal salvation. He lives right now to make intercession for you. The only question that remains is this: have you drawn near to God through Him? If you have, He's interceding for you this very second, and He will be standing there at the hour of your death. If you haven't, then please, don't wait for the subpoena to arrive. Draw near to the high priest today. If this helped you face your fears, please subscribe and share this with someone who needs hope, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.